On today's episode, folks, Two Guys, One Coup, Jim's going to tell us everything he won't. We're going to talk a little bit about the governor of the Republican candidate governor of Michigan. There's an FBI whistleblower you may or may not have heard about, but Jim will tell us all that. There was a murder in North Dakota, and that's what it was, a murder, and we'll get into details on that one. And WPATH, if you folks don't know who that is, the World Professional Association of Transgender Health, back in the news, trying to give us an explanation of why they're really into, child grooming. So, anyways, that and a lot more on what, Jimmy? On what?
Two Guys, One Coup.
Be right back, folks.
Welcome to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim, where the truth matters and progressives' feelings don't. We bring you the facts from the perspective of two average, everyday guys who will never apologize for being America first, for adhering to our great Constitution, and for saluting the flag that our brothers and sisters have fought and died for. And now, here's Dale and Jim.
Good day, sir. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing quite well. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. No news, nothing to report today. So
never
we'll
is.
Be talking every freaking day.
I do have a quick.
And I'm sick. And I'm be honest with you, I'm sick and tired of Tucker Carlson stealing our stuff.
I know. We're gonna have to talk to him. I do have a real quick in our show when our favorite history teacher in Florida. When he says the evidence and everything, there was another post on January Little John's Facebook page about Tennessee.
Yep.
Here we go. It's
yep.
And guys, the scary thing, and we did this in a previous show, and I won't get into it too much because we got other things to talk about. But the money, there is so much money in this that there are hospitals, there are doctors, there are services that are jumping on this because of the money. Because when you transition a kid, it's not like the Planned Parenthood. It's not like it's abortion when it's one and done and you're gone. Maybe see in a couple years, maybe not.
Yeah.
This is monthly pills, or maybe weekly pills, or daily pills, or whatever it's done.
It's ongoing.
And so now you've got the medical industry not giving a shit about our children and their health because
of course not.
They get money.
Of course not.
So anyway, just research all that. Look at all that when we say it, because
I've never been this big. Like I'm against big pharma making money, or I'm against all. I always thought some of that was wacky, but I'm not trying to go down the conspiracy path. You know what I mean? But once you start looking at some of the evidence and some of the details and some of the folks that are involved with the pharmaceuticals and the drugs that are administered, and then from there to surgical supplies, the list goes on and on, and then the monies that the actual facilities and the doctors themselves are making by removing healthy breasts of underage girls at an alarming rate now. It's insane. We're going to talk about why can they do that when we talk about WPATH, which
I just wanted to add that because I noticed the story that she shared, and it's like, here we go again.
So that's a good evidence. Point. So that's part of our good friend, the history buff. Well, he had another video. I almost played it today. I couldn't do it.
We need to let him go. We're giving him too much play.
Yeah, but this time he was shirtless and it was even creepier. So I just had to. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
All right.
I literally couldn't do it. And it talked about how grateful he was to be in the teachers union, and it saved his career. Of course it did. Of course it saved your career, buddy. So. But what another thing that
unions aren't there to protect good teachers.
No, they are not.
Because good teachers don't need unions.
They don't need unions.
Just saying.
And they don't need protection. That's right.
Yeah.
So he also denies, and another reason I guess we bring him up is the fact that there was critical race theory ever taught. It's just not happening. The fact that because he's a history teacher and he does specialize in a lot of African American studies, that's what he does.
Right.
That's not in there. That we just are not teaching that. Well, I got a video that I want to play, and it's from a young high schooler named Brad Taylor from the RHS School District in Minnesota. RHS School District, the Rosemont, Apple Valley, Egan public school system. It's about a little southeast of Minneapolis, St. Paul. So, suburb of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Brad, this happened last year. So it happened last June. Literally the following month, July, we went to the Joyful Warrior Summit in Tampa, Florida, and talked to our good friend, the teacher, face to face while he was outside protesting the Moms for Liberty event, denying that critical race theory happened, denying that any of this is taking place. I want you to listen to what Brad has to say, and then we'll be back to review it in a minute.
Hi, my name is Brad Taylor, and I just finished my freshman year at RHS. I've been a part of District 196 schools now for 10 years, and I'm going to give you a glimpse today of what's actually going on inside these schools. Despite the board's attempt to deny it, District 196 schools are quickly becoming a place where promoting activism is actually more important than promoting education. I'll take you back to my first day at RHS this fall. The principal came out and gave us a heartfelt speech about equality and standing together. He began to list countless races, such as Latino, Asian, expressing how much they matter and how important they are. But never once did he mention a race or identity that reflects me, or half the kids that were in the class. Now, members of the board, I know you haven't been to school in a while, and I know none of you, or most of you, don't have any kids left in the school district. But you must admit how uncomfortable it will be to be characterized just by your skin color on the first day of school, and be thought that you were wrong just because of your skin color. So I'll never forget the look one of my friends gave me from across the room as we were sitting there listening to this blatant bias being expressed in the so-called equity statement by the leader of our school. To be clear, I don't need you to tell me that I matter, but hearing the condolences given to other races and leaving just one race out, inevitably you'll start to feel like you've done something wrong. And in our principal's attempt to unify us, he instead created unwarranted boundaries and barriers between his students, pitting us against each other based on characteristics that we can't control. In another separate instance, I was told that writing "All Lives Matter" on the whiteboard was political and could be seen as offensive. When I questioned the teacher after class, she told me that she didn't have an answer and she just had to erase it, and it was quickly erased. There are political signs all over RHS, about specific races that matter, specific sexual orientations that matter, and specific perspectives that matter. But when I questioned the RHS administration about how these signs were political, they told me that they were supporting human rights. So when I questioned why the equity statement couldn't represent all students, they told me that to even ask that question was outlandish and offensive. And when I asked why that was, they told me, quote, "Whites have a pretty good situation right now," unquote. So is that not racism? Disregarding my question merely because of the color of my skin? To be honest, after enduring a year of the people in charge telling me that I'm a racist and I'm privileged and pointing out our irreversible differences, I've never noticed race more. And it's becoming the first thing I notice when I meet someone, which has never before been the case. RHS administration confidently told me that RHS students and staff are happy with their equity statement. But from my experience in talking with other students, this is not the case. I know many kids who disagree with their teachers, but they're too scared to stand up because they're worried that their grades will be docked and their learning experience will be affected. My honors government teacher, I'm not going to say his name, but he's mentioned that Democrats care more about all people while Republicans only care about themselves. And he's also inferred to us that socialism is better than democracy. He even had a statue. He had a statue of a socialist leader in his classroom. I've been told by a lot of kids that they just stay silent and adjust their schoolwork to reflect an acceptable opinion to secure a good grade. I've been approached by multiple teachers who have told me in private that they just want to say that they agree with me and they support me standing up, but they can't say it in front of the class for fear of being disciplined by the administration in some way or losing their jobs. There is clearly only one way to think in this district, and that is that they are teaching their kids to shut up if they don't agree. Now, members of the board, I want you to take a good look at yourselves in the mirror tonight and ask, are you really standing up for the equality of all people, or are you just pushing a damaging political ideology on our students? A fellow coworker at my job, who, by the way, is of color, discreetly told me that the schools seem to be pushing a very leftist agenda in class. This proved that not everyone is happy with your school, and not everyone who isn't happy is white. Now, due to all these instances I've mentioned and many more that I can't fit in this 5-minute speech, I have decided to leave this district and continue school on a private Christian school online. And there will be sacrifices, and I will not get to walk in the graduation ceremony or attend milestones at RHS, but I will be able to learn in an environment that is not intent on punishing me daily for my skin color and political views. Now, regardless of how you take my speech, whether you just shrug it off as malarkey or Fox News talking points, I encourage you to think about it, because someday I'm going to be a leader. I may be the president, a governor, or just a professional golfer, but I will never stop believing that everybody has value, no matter their skin color or personal beliefs. And it's a shame that you're not going to be able to say that I was an alumni of RHS in District 196. Thank you.
So that took guts, really, this kid speaking in front of the school district, explaining to him how critical race theory has been implemented in his school system and in their curriculum, and how it's really well hidden and it's well disguised.
Yeah.
And go on, Jim. Yeah.
Well, that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah.
Guys, there is not a separate study on CRT. It's not actually going to say CRT.
Correct.
It's not going to be. It's, for instance, oppressed.
Mm-hmm.
If you hear they're oppressed to this day,
Yep.
that's CRT.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That is CRT. Okay.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't
That's what
come
it
out
is.
and say this is critical race theory. This is critical
That's
race
what it
theory
is.
because
Yep.
they're trying to make the black people today, you're oppressed. That's why you can't go anywhere, because the white people are still oppressing.
And that's the point. And there's the reason you're oppressed is because that kid sitting next to you in your class, that white kid, he's the reason.
Right.
And that's and I mean he had a note from or read something from a black friend of his in school that's noticed it.
Mm-hmm.
He himself said, I never noticed race until you started bringing this in. Now it's everywhere. Now everything's race related.
Yep.
You know. So kudos to him and God bless him. And I love at the end when he's like, someday I'm going to be, I may be president, I may be a governor, I may be senator. I don't know. I could be a pro golfer. That's what
Mm-hmm.
and unfortunately this high school won't be able to claim I went here. And he's since gone to a Christian private online school. And that takes guts. That takes a lot of guts for him to do it. Well-spoken.
Mm-hmm.
I could see the kid being in politics for sure. So thank you to Brad. I don't know if anybody's heard that. I know it's old, but that happened last year. And the timing couldn't have been better because it happened right before we talked to that teacher who said none of this is happening.
Well, that's why
anywhere,
it was important.
Not just Florida, but
about.
anywhere in the country. Yeah.
That's why it was important to talk about, because people like Brant, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it does.
And we talked. A fellow history teacher in Wisconsin came out on Fox News to talk about how parents are being lied to. CRT is in schools,
which
SEL.
and that's current. That was a current story. That's still happening. Yeah.
It's just what it is.
It's nuts.
And when he sits there and when he makes the comment, the union saved his job.
Yeah.
Now again, I don't know what happened. I don't know.
Either. I don't know either.
I don't.
Feeling.
There are times I'm sure unions are there because someone's falsely accused of something, or somebody accused somebody of doing something. And I get that.
Of course.
But most of the time, unions are not needed by the good workers.
They are not.
They're only to protect the ones that maybe aren't so good. That's all we're going to say.
That's all we're going to say. That's all we're going to say. I mean, I can't. There's unions all
God,
over.
God bless that kid.
God bless him.
You said, took a lot of guts to come out.
It's a young kid, man. He was like 15 or something. I mean, and well written, well said, well spoken.
Yeah.
And the crowd he was speaking in front of loved it too. So that's good news.
Yeah.
They have more of that's got to happen. Jim, I want to real quick too also play another video. Of course, everybody knows the whole Martha Vineyard story. Of course, now you got a sheriff in Texas now who wants to file charges against DeSantis and Abbott for human trafficking, for kidnapping, for I don't know who the sheriff of Texas is, but
they're just mad because it's Mexico City of the East Coast now.
That's all it is. That's all it is. But a reporter had asked, of course, DeSantis, what do you say to all the you're a human trafficker, so that's what you don't hear before that, before I play this. But the actual question was, and I'm paraphrasing, because, I'm not an ignorant reporter, so I am paraphrasing this, but basically, you've been accused of human trafficking. What do you have to say about that, about your political stunt that you pulled, sending everyone to Martha's Vineyard? Listen to Governor Ron DeSantis' response, and we'll be right back.
Flying these people all over the fruited plain in the middle of the night. I didn't hear a peep out of those people, okay? I didn't hear a peep. I haven't heard a peep about all the people that have been told by Biden you can just come in, and they're being abused by the cartels, they're drowning in the Rio Grande. You had 50 that died in some shed in Texas. I heard no outrage about any of that. I haven't heard outrage about all the fentanyl that's come across the border that's killing Americans in record numbers. I don't hear outrage about the criminal aliens that have gotten through and have then victimized people, not only in Florida, but all throughout the country. I didn't hear any outrage about that. The only thing I hear them getting upset about is you have 50 that end up in Martha's Vineyard. Then they get really upset. And I'm sorry. Those migrants were being treated horribly by Biden. They were hungry, homeless. They had no opportunity at all. The state of Florida, it was volunteer, offered transport to sanctuary jurisdictions because it's our view that, one, the border should be secured. And we want to have Biden reinstitute policies like remain in Mexico and making sure that people aren't overwhelming. But short of that, if you believe in open borders, then it's the sanctuary jurisdictions that should have to bear the brunt of the open borders. So that's what we're doing. But what happened was they were provided an ability to be in the most posh sanctuary jurisdiction maybe in the world. And obviously it's sad that Martha's Vineyard people deported them the next day. They could have absorbed this. They chose not to. But what it shows is if 50 was a burden on one of the richest places in our country, what about all these other communities that have been overrun with hundreds or thousands? It shows you when now these policies are on the front burner. People need to be talking about. Biden can't defend his policies of open borders. It's doing huge damage to our country. It's costing a lot of money. It's costing lives with the drugs that are pouring across. And so the question is why are you supporting Biden's policies? Why don't you step up and tell him you're failing and let's do it differently? Because you know what? He inherited a border that wasn't like this. He has created the crisis. But now at least we know nobody can deny that there's a crisis. Everybody now knows, and it was only because you had to have the elite who want to have the cost on everybody else, and they don't want to have to shoulder that. That's the only reason now people are talking about this.
So that was a pretty lengthy response. And let's be honest, we all know it. I mean, yeah, there's none of these so-called, progressive journalists, the lackeys for the left, mention anything about how many people are coming over and about how infiltrated the border towns are and what they have to deal with. And they have to house them and feed them or transport them back or transport them, find their families. Border agents are being overwhelmed with the amount. We've talked about 8,000 a day coming over. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until they went to Martha Vineyard that we started, whoa, take a look at this. But on top of that, before we even go any further, I know, Jim, you've got to add something, but I do have a short, literally clip, and the video is kind of hard to see, but the audio is perfect. And it's of a couple residents of Martha Vineyard and what they had to say. So listen to that one, and we'll be right back.
Take a listen. Were you surprised at all when Governor Ron DeSantis decided, okay, you know what? Guess what? I'm going to send 50 of the migrants who volunteered to come to Boston, to come to Martha's Vineyard. Were you surprised when they arrived?
No, I wasn't. And I really praise him for doing that because it wasn't a stunt. I know the media has been saying it's a stunt. But, how do you get the attention of of the administration? How do you get the attention of Harris, who's supposed to be in charge of this?
Do you think she's been a good border czar?
I don't. It's really a joke, and everyone knows it.
I think what he did was a great
Like
for
a
the
statement?
country, a great statement for the country to get the conversation out there.
Tell the truth. I don't believe anything that comes out of the administration anymore.
My message would be, how do you think the people in Texas feel that are getting thousands of them coming in a day? And we had a little taste of it with 50.
So there's 2 residents that said, well, we agree with it. We agree with what Ron is saying. You have to. He had to do something. It sure woke everybody up, you know. And the response time for removing them was absolutely splendid. I mean, 24 hours to get them the hell out of Martha's Vineyard. You know?
But how is
wow,
it human?
that's
how
pretty
is it
good.
human trafficking when you're putting them on a plane or a comfortable plane and a comfortable bus and sending? You're not getting money for it.
Clothing them.
You're not getting money for it. You're sending them to.
You're sending them to. Yeah,
It's,
because the left is ignorant, Jim.
I know.
mean,
well, did you see
they've
the
got to
lawsuit?
make something up. I did see the lawsuit. Yeah.
How can illegals sue the state of Florida?
Well, of course they can. What do you mean? They can vote. How can they not sue? You know? I mean, they can do anything they want. They have more rights than you and I.
When you interview people coming off the planes, the buses and stuff. Now, granted, they're not interviewing everybody.
Oh, they've turned now. They've turned.
Exactly, because I think they've been offered money. You know,
of course.
Say they forced you on. Say they forced you to sign documents.
Yeah.
Say all this stuff, and now it's coming out when you heard them before. Oh no, I wanted to go to New York.
Yeah.
Or who doesn't want to go to Martha's Vineyard?
Exactly. Senor DeSantis, he a bad bandito. I mean, that's what they're saying now, you know. But you were happy coming off. Look, I'm clean, I'm fed, I'm everything else. Jim, add to this nonsense.
I have a nice little fun story that it would be interesting. But just to give you an insight of who lives on Martha's Vineyard,
sure.
There's a few people that some of you may have heard of. I don't know. The Obamas.
Who?
The Clintons. Oprah Winfrey, Bill Murray,
Bill
Spike Lee,
Spike
among
Lee,
others. Okay,
among others.
They live or have a home on.
Yeah,
because some of them have homes on Martha's Vineyards and home everywhere else because they're just like us. You know,
well, that's right. We have homes wherever I want to travel to. I have
the Obamas are just like us.
Well, they are. Well, I mean, they told us that.
They told us just like us. But
Michelle's a lot like us.
Now, the reason why this article is the way it is. Yeah, I know. I get that was a good one. That probably the first trans. Yeah. Anyway, so I digress.
Hey! You know, I mean, I'm just saying. You know, she could be. Rumor has it. I saw the videos of her dancing on Ellen. There's something. You're saying something was swinging there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it was. Could have been anything. I'm just speculating.
Just a swinging.
I mean, Joan Rivers told us it's got to be true.
So now I don't expect everybody to open up their personal homes, their private properties to people.
Of course
not. If you want to, go ahead. You can't be forced to do it.
Yeah.
But if you're one of these elitists that sit there and complain about what Florida's doing, what Texas is doing, what Arizona's doing, because all these people that are infiltrating them, the Obamas have a 6,900 square foot mansion.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. They could easily fit at least half of them comfortably.
Oh, I'd say for a little while.
So if it's not a problem, if these are good people coming over into this country, let them stay there.
Yeah, they just need need a hand up.
Ask the restaurants in Texas they have to close in Texas because illegals keep breaking into they have to close because they can't keep up because illegals are breaking in. Yep. And I'm sorry and I did this morning. Wasn't on MSNBC, wasn't on CNN, wasn't on NPR, wasn't on any of those.
No shit, NPR.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But so if you remember the Obamas,
I remember them slightly.
200. They had a celebration of 200 for his birthday, non-masked. not massive.
Oh, 200 people.
Could
Okay,
have been
like,
more.
yeah.
Could have been more, but they had to do the COVID restrictions.
Oh.
Well, no one was wearing a mask.
Or 6 feet apart, or any of that bullshit that Fauci, Dr. Death told us.
The writer of this story said, plenty of room for 50 people to live in. But what I wanted to bring up, this is what really, one of the reasons I wanted to bring up. This is a progressive double standard. The Obama and his wife, Michelle, then bought a Martha's Vineyard estate that listed at almost $15 million in 2019. They have flaunted a lavish and privileged lifestyle.
Yeah.
The Obamas must not really worry too much about global warming and rising sea levels if they spent that much on beachfront property. In fact, the Obamas are so indifferent to their carbon footprints, they applied to install 3 enormous fossil fuel tanks in their mansion earlier this year.
Wow. Fossil fuel tanks.
So, all you people out there that just think that man is just so, I get a tingle up my leg every time he talks. I just love him so much. He's a lying son of a bitch, just like all other politicians are.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, he's a leftist progressive. They are worse. Do as I say, not as I do. Live as I say, not as I live. Okay,
that's right.
They're hypocrites beyond major belief. And but I just wanted to add that because I thought that was funny that the Obamas could put all 50 of them in there.
All 50 of them in there. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Of course, and nobody expects anybody to do that. The 50 of them showed up at my door right now.
Not at all.
Sorry, not a one of you is getting in here. No,
I do not expect it. But then again, if you're going to sit there and yell at Abbott for, basically the state of Texas is his home.
Yes.
The state of Florida is Ron DeSantis' home.
Correct.
You're asking them to take them into their home. Right?
No. And you're asking everybody within their communities to just put up with it. Shut up and put up with it.
But there's some tweets.
Just leave them alone.
There's some tweets that were in that article, too. One of them said, nope, Martha's Vineyard, tomorrow the Hamptons. I love it. I love it. I love it. Abbott and DeSantis are just, I love them. I just think they are awesome. And we do have other governors across this country that are great.
Of course we do. Yeah,
but those two are always in the news because they're always flipping the finger at.
They are. They are. And they were the first two governors that said, take your masks off, assholes. Yeah. I mean, this isn't happening anymore.
So I just wanted to add on to that because I just thought that was pretty funny that, they're worried about global warming. Why build beachfront property then?
Why even bother? Jim, you ready to go first? You want to go first, or you feel like
I went first last time, but I can go first. It's up to you.
Just
completely up to you.
Just keep going first. You're up. Because what? What? No. Oh wait. Because what?
Because I'm number one. Okay. Couple quick.
So, anyways, I'll. You want to? Okay, you can pretend to be number one today. Go ahead.
Yeah, couple quick stories.
Are they ever quick, Jim? Go on.
There's my pause. I don't think I paused.
It doesn't matter.
I think you had me distracted.
Doesn't matter.
I got a couple things on transitioning. Short stories, but positive things moving forward.
About your transitioning or about
No.
You're not.
We already talked about the bill that Representative Jim Banks and Senator Tom Cotton put through the House.
We did many episodes ago.
Yeah,
correct.
Where it was protecting the children if 30 years after, because they went 30 years after.
For the doctors and all that.
Yeah, if a child has surgery before the age of 18 and then something happens in their life where they're just, or the families and stuff like that, you can sue the doctor for doing that. It's just a way to try and send a message to the doctors. Maybe you don't want to do this.
Maybe you don't want to do this to minors. Jim, I don't want to put you on the spot, but any update on that bill? Do we know of anything?
It's on hold just like everything else because
of course. Okay. Yeah, I know.
Nancy Pelosi is not going to put it on the floor. so it's in the hands, and I think in all honesty,
Nancy Pelosi can't get up from the floor.
Yeah. Even though I can tell you, I just don't. I think it will be introduced hopefully after November.
Hopefully. Okay.
Oh.
Good. Yeah.
But
we'll
Senator
stay.
Tim Scott introduces a bill to ban schools from keeping a child's gender transition a secret from the parents.
Good. Very good.
He introduced a bill Tuesday that prevents school from keeping a child's gender transition from their parents. It's called the Parents' Right.
Mm-hmm.
The Parents' Rights over the Education and Care of Their and then Protect Kids Act. It would require schools that receive federal funding
So all
to
public
obtain
schools.
parents' permission before changing a student's gender, pronouns, or preferred name on a school form, or allowing that student to use locker rooms or bathrooms in comport with their selected gender identity.
Mm-hmm.
It says schools exist to educate children. Who would have known?
What?
Not indoctrinate them. And a quality education requires input from those who know children best, their parents. Scott said in a statement announcing the bill. Sadly, radical and secretive gender policies have shut parents out of the conversation and broken their trust. My bill will safeguard parent rights, improve the crucial relationship between parents and schools, and ensure that children can learn in an environment free of activist ideology.
Yep. Good.
So I'm not going to go into all the stuff that is in the ban because I just said it pretty much that you can't do it. So I'm not going to bore everybody to that point.
Hopefully,
But-
so that one will be hopefully after November will also be put up on the floor. And
I think it's not going anywhere now.
no,
So-
none of it is. None of it is. But I mean, I'm glad they're doing that, and I wonder, because this bill just came out, I wonder if, and I haven't gotten an update yet. I hope to from January and or Bernadette on the Title IX numbers.
Yeah, because I'd like
what's
to get
going
them
on
on
with that.
I'd like to talk about this bill as well. 'Cause I'm sure
Absolutely.
they back this one.
Absolutely, but
now-
I wonder if he's doing it because Title
This is
IX
for
gonna
our
go
friend-
through or not.
This
So,
is for our friend,
Mhm.
our history teacher from Florida.
Good.
First, the bill cited the Montgomery County Public Schools in Maryland, which published a document on gender identity that instructed school administrators to facilitate a gender support plan for transgender students that did not require parents to be involved. Well, that's not happening, Dale. That's not happening.
no,
This is a lie.
It doesn't happen anywhere.
Second, the bill cited the Lynn Marr Community School District in Iowa, which was sued for creating similar gender support plans for students without parents' consent.
Get out.
Third, it cited the case of Fairfax County Public Schools in Virginia, which mandated that all teachers complete a training program that required them to recognize the gender identity of transgender students, use their preferred name and pronouns in class and official records. So basically, what this bill is going to do, it's going to keep these freaking. I don't even know what to call them anymore, man. That think it's okay to mutilate these children.
Yeah,
Or to look, kids are confused as it is. I mean, we all know you go through puberty, you go through a lot of different changes. You go through. I mean, luckily, the worst part of puberty are pimples. You break out in acne, right? That's. But a lot of times, it's worse than that. And I can't imagine a kid today going through puberty today with all the confusing things that are being sent their way.
Yeah.
I mean, I like girly things. Okay, maybe I like girly things. Okay, well, now you've got some crazy teacher, crazy administrator that's going to maybe push you in that direction.
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's not, it's just,
That's just
like girly things.
I know. Yep.
So, and then the last thing real quick, it's Tudor Dixon is the Republican candidate for governor of Michigan.
She's amazing, by the way.
Yeah,
God, I pray she wins that
She is
election.
asking for the resignation of the state superintendent Tuesday for his defense of the so-called gender-affirming training videos from the Michigan Department of Education. So again, our wonderful history teacher, it's not happening.
It's not anyway.
Dixon demand after conservative activist Christopher Rufo revealed the videos showing the Michigan Department of Education training teachers on how to accept and address students' genders transitions, even if parents were not on board. So good for her. Folks, this is how it's going to happen. Okay. It's this.
I heard a reporter ask her, Jim, is this part of that too? And that's why I'm asking. ask her about, well, can you define what is pornographic in book?
Yeah.
Can you? And she's like, do you want me to like tell you? You want me to read it? Like out?
Mhm.
You want me to? She goes, I'm not going to read it, but I'll explain to you that there are sexually explicit pictures in there,
Mhm.
multiple different sex positions.
Yeah.
And she's like looking at him like you really want me to tell you to define pornography?
What
to
does that
kids?
have to do with transitioning?
Yeah,
That's what blows my mind. What does
they're idiots.
teaching
Reporters.
a 12-year-old boy how to give a blowjob to another 12-year-old boy,
Mhm.
or worse, that one story in that one book about how he went into a video store or a music store or something.
Music store. And an
And-
adult married male has an
Having an
affair with a young minor boy. That's in that book. This book is gay. That's what's in that book.
Please tell me that we are not there now, that this
we
is
are
norm.
there.
Please
I'm
tell
telling
me.
you.
I just...
No.
Folks,
I don't think it's too late. I know we are there, that they think it's norm because it's another way to just control and brainwash and direct the children to wherever direction they want to go in. And let's be honest, the more homosexuals, the less population.
Correct.
Correct. Not that I'm for or against adults being homosexual. I am not at all. You live your life like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is a population situation, right?
Yeah. And our population has actually gone down, even though there's people
has.
out there that
Births
is
have
down
gone
1%.
down.
First time
Yeah.
in, I think, first time ever.
I
actually
think so
going
too.
down. For all of you people who sit there and say that, our population is getting out of control, whatever, but it's going down, and it's probably because of these freaking. Look, if you want to be gay, be gay. You and I have talked about this. All the
I have
time.
nothing
I'm not
against
gonna.
that.
I'm not gonna.
Me neither.
People know
Me
that
neither.
we are not against homosexuals. What we are against is maybe possibly turning a child towards it when maybe they're not, or taking a child who is gay and saying, well, why don't you just become a woman? That's the problem I have.
That's the problem I have, too.
Those are the issues that I have.
That's
a
the
child
main
may
problem
be
I
gay. I believe that a child at the age of 14 and 15 can feel gay, can know they're gay
do, too.
in that way. Fine, let's talk to them. But not groom them. Talk to them.
Not direct them towards you're not just gay, but you're the opposite sex. Yeah. That's insanity.
Especially with teachers or administrators that don't really know how to do that.
And are not qualified, nor should they.
And watching a training video doesn't qualify you.
No. How many lockout tagout videos? I couldn't tell you when something's on electricity or not. I don't know. We've all seen that crap growing up.
Guys, so. I know this is the other extreme of what we're talking about with this thing, but a child predator is perfect situation.
Well, you take a look at it. Again, I don't want to keep. I know we got to move on, but I mean, you take a look at the story we didn't do, which everybody's doing now, which is the teacher up in Canada wearing the prosthetic breasts and the shop teacher. And Tucker Carlson explained it very well last night, that it was, those are geared. That's part of an anime, like a porn anime, thing. That's what those are developed for. And he's wearing them in shop class. That the school district won't even give him the name of the teacher. That's part of grooming them. I'm not saying that this teacher is out there saying, "Come here and touch me, little kids." I'm saying, but they are directing them into their sexual world of some sort. Yep. That is also a part of grooming. So the mental aspect of it. And so we were going to do that story and we didn't. It's everywhere. It is what it is. But main reason we didn't do it, so everybody knows, is it was Canada. We just let's worry about what's going on down here in the States. Yeah. That is also going down here in the States. We get that, but we just didn't do the, but first we're going to give a crap about Canada. So, it is what it is. Good day, eh? Jim, excellent. Let's move on in case you have any more Canada bashing to do or anything. Nothing?
No.
Okay. See you in a minute. Okay. Well, sticking right on to
my family heritage, French Canadian. I hate to admit that because it's you got both parts of French and Canada, so it's like my people.
I know. I mean, basically, you're twinsies with Trudeau. I mean, basically, it's what you are, you know? So
it's one of those
yeah.
embarrassing things.
So
what's the nationality of your name? American.
Yeah, what's the nationality of your name?
America.
Not French Canadian, by the way. Just everybody, you know. So basically, your people were ruled by the Queen. So you should have been in mourning this past week when they buried Queen Elizabeth.
Did she die?
You know,
everywhere you look, everywhere.
God rest.
And who gives
her
a shit
soul.
if Charles is king now? Who cares?
Well, I think we are so not going to talk about this, but because you're right. Who gives a shit? But the whole point is that, I mean, you go from Queen Elizabeth, who honestly, 70 years of service, like work ethic and service. That's what I respect about her. Okay, was that just she gave service to her country, and yeah, the monarchy, I don't give a crap. You know, I mean, we're a republic. I don't like monarchies. You know, but she was able to at least.
Did she service Winston Churchill too? I don't know.
Jim. I am.
What? You said she's in service. Was she in service to Winston Churchill?
That's all
I said.
Yeah.
Get your head out of the gutter.
Churchill.
My God.
Winston Churchill.
What did you think I was talking?
Son of a bitch. Anyways, and now you got to have stupid Charles, who's basically.
Who cares?
Yeah, but he's basically kind of like the special ed kid.
If they bring back
now he's
public
in charge,
beheadings,
that's a problem.
If they bring back public beheadings,
I'm there.
Hey, I'm there for monarchs, man.
I'm on board. I'm on board.
And I have a few people in Congress that I would volunteer to test it out.
Jim, you are causing violence.
Did I say who they were?
Well, it doesn't matter. Now you're going to have scores of listeners out there with guillotines rushing towards Congress to just behead anybody.
Okay. Not that I should have to do this, but folks, I'm kidding. Okay. Now, Dale, what's your story?
Anyways, folks, listen, the World Professional Association for Transgender Health, also known as WPATH, or WPATH is what they say,
whatever.
WPATH, or also known as a organization of psychotic
mutilates children.
Psychotic Dr. Frankenstein type folks, recently released new guidelines, which we have talked about on the show before, and their standards of care. That's what they call it, standards of care.
Oh, is that what they call it now?
Yeah, WPATH cares. The Daily Wire previously reported on WPATH's decision to remove the minimum age requirements for minors to receive medical interventions that permanently alter the body. A new live stream session with WPATH's annual conference this past Sunday reveals why they made this change from previous editions. And do you know what the main reason was, Jim? And I'll get into more detail. It's so the doctors wouldn't face malpractice lawsuits. Allow me to explain. In quotes, we were thinking, already a problem with this group. And there was a comma after that. We were thinking, and it was scary for me about the potential uses of the chapter for legal and insurance context, said Amy Tishelman, who introduced herself as the lead author of the child chapter for WPATH's new guidelines. In quote, what we didn't want to do was create a chapter that would make it more likely that practitioners would be sued because they weren't following exactly what we said. Oh boy! Well, I'm glad this is their standards of care. Who are they caring about? The physicians.
Their pocketbooks.
And the physicians.
Yeah.
Tishelman previously held the position of the Director of Clinical Research at the Gender Multi-Specialty Services Program at Boston's Children's Hospital. Where have we heard videos? Oh, boy, has it not. And if those who have or just new, we got new listeners, go back a few episodes, literally go back 30 episodes, but go back a few episodes and listen to some of the videos from some of the physicians at the Boston's Children's Hospital. The GEM's program welcomed gender diverse patients as young as 3 years old and offers a full suite of surgical options for transgender teens, according to the website. Quote, we wanted there to be some clinical judgment without being at risk for being held in court for not sticking completely to these standards, continued Tishelman. So we did write them in a way, I think, so that there is leeway, that we recommend things, but we suggest that clinicians use their judgment about what to do in therapy situations as assessment situations so that they can use individualized clinical judgment and not face malpractice lawsuits. It goes on. While WPATH previously uses explicitly stated minimum age recommendations for minors to obtain puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries, the leading Transgender Health Association made the decision to forego age recommendations in the latest edition of their guidelines. WPATH published its Standards of Care 8th edition in International Journal of Transgender Health on September 6, 2022. A correction was published in the same journal on September 15th, which removed sections pertaining to minimal age for gender-affirming medical and surgical treatments for adolescents. On the other hand, she says, on the other hand, we didn't want it to be so loose that insurance wouldn't cover things because they'll say they're not necessary, Tishelman explains. We tried to bridge those considerations. We didn't want overly general standards that would dilute their meaning and importance. I continue. There can be some confusion, Tishelman said, of determining whether a child is, quote, gender diverse or cisgender. Gender diverse, as Tishelman repeatedly alludes to, refers to simple gender nonconformity or a rejection of sex-based stereotypes. Based on the WPATH guidelines, a tomboy, a girl who rejects feminine stereotypes through her preference and behaviors, would be considered gender diverse and may warrant a visit to a pediatric gender clinic. Nope.
I knew a lot of tomboys. Nope, that is not what they wanted.
That is not what they wanted. I finish with all of this. One of the challenges for us in our chapter is that there is a limited research, Tishelman admitted. So we drew on our strength as clinicians, as well as our knowledge of research in the area of gender development for gender diverse kids, as well as our knowledge of what all kids need as they develop. Tishelman described the calibration process between herself and the 8 other authors of As unanimous. In lieu of age recommendations, WPATH now suggests that both puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones may be administered when a child reaches Tanner stage 2. What is Tanner stage 2? Tanner stage 2, meaning at the first signs of puberty. For girls, puberty begins between ages 9 and 11, and for boys around age 11. So we had previously reported, Jim, that they had lowered this to like 15 to 14.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's in their stage 2. They revised it to 9 and 11, even younger and younger. For surgeries, no indication of a minimal age is given in the guidelines, and instead it recommends at least 12 months of gender-affirming hormone therapy or longer, if required, to achieve the desired surgical result for gender-affirming procedures, including breast augmentation, do you know this word? I did not look it up. Orchiectomy? Sorry, somebody knows that. I don't know it. Vaginoplasty, we know what that is. Hysterectomy, phalloplasty, we know what that is. Metidioplasty and facial surgery as part of gender-affirming treatment unless hormone therapy is either not desired or is medically contradicted.
Say that word again.
Look it up for me, Jim. It is, the word is orchia, Tom, Jim, I'm going to spell it. I'm looking like an idiot here. ORCHIECTOMY.
There it is. Okay.
Tell me what it is,
A
Jim.
surgical procedure to remove one or both testicles.
Oh, my Lord.
We should have known that.
I'm glad I didn't know that. One or both. So in case you and I come in, it's both. If Lance Armstrong comes in, it's just one. Okay. I don't understand the one.
Or like the
both.
woman, or the woman who made the meatballs, the special meatballs, where it's you can have a prosthetic.
Again, past episode, folks. She's got a delicious meatball recipe, spaghetti recipe that won the county fair. Jim, on all serious notes, this is concerning, especially the age requirements, the fact that they're drawing these people to WPATH from the Boston Children's Hospital. If my kid needed their tonsils out, I would not go to Boston General. If they needed stitches, 3 stitches for a small cut, I would take them anywhere but Boston Children's Hospital. These people are that. I mean, they're Dr. Frankensteins. They talk about 3 years old. 3 years old, Jim. 3 years old.
Anybody that favors this,
throw my hands
I'm
up,
sorry.
man.
Anybody that favors this,
Psychotic.
These institutions, these doctors, these psychiatrists, if you want to call them that think that it's okay for kids to transition before they're adults. I don't think they give a shit about the kids. It's all about the money.
We now know it.
There is so much money involved in this stuff now because, like we talked about on the Planned Parenthood thing, they identified a moneymaker, and a whistleblower that works for Planned Parenthood brought it up. That's right. It's a money. These kids are cash cows. They don't give a shit what happens to these children because when they eventually commit suicide, it's the society caused them, not what was done to them. That's how
think about this, Jim. Think about the long-term money ramifications. We talked about the ongoing surgeries and pills and all that. That's money making. We get that. A lot of these kids commit suicide.
Yep.
All right. So now we've gone in the population control situation. Those suicides do not collect Social Security benefits.
Right.
They don't live that long. There's no Medicaid, right? They don't have to pay for Medicaid. It's a way of taking care of both ends of the spectrum to me. They make their money. They make a shitload of money off of them immediately. And I don't care. There's no care for the children whatsoever. I don't care if you hear from a doctor who's saying, I really do care. I really do. They don't. Or else they know the research and they know what happened to these children. And then you don't have to pay them in the end either. So you make all your money and you don't have to pay it back.
Like the 2 female teachers we talked to during the Moms for Liberty, they don't care. They don't care. If that's what the kid wants, fine.
Oh, the protesters outside, you mean?
How the hell does a 13 to 14-year-old kid know what they want? How is that possible? I mean, we hear story after story after story where schools tried to transition the kids or counselors tried to transition the kids, but when the parents got involved, the discussion was made, and then it ended up not being the case.
Correct.
And then the children are living normal lives now.
Exactly.
And it's like, that's what has to happen, guys. Kids, look, we say under the age of 18, but you might even need to go to 21 before your brain's fully function, fully developed to where you can say, yeah, this is what I want to do. But if you are 18, you are an adult, by all means, I can't stop you from doing what you want to do. But that's when it starts happening.
Not at 9.
Yes.
Not at 9.
Puberty blockers, nothing. Okay.
They're castrating people at 9 children at 9 years old.
Because
and
they
altering their
money.
bodies. That is irreversible, regardless of them all, because you said it, Jim. money.
That's disgusting.
Because they want money. I interrupted you. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
Well, I think I interrupted you too. So
jumping on this crap, but it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible, and it's there's, if you haven't looked up Chloe Cole, all right, would love to get Chloe on the show. I don't know if that's ever going to be possible, but look her up. She's I think she's still a minor. She might. I don't even know, to be honest with you. But look up her YouTube. Just look her up on whatever. You can find her story. Her story personifies exactly what is happening out there with it. So,
and she's one
anyways,
of many folks. It's just other people are afraid to come out.
That's other people are afraid to come out. And also look up January Littlejohn. Look up her and look up what almost happened to her child. And
I can't remember his name, but Perez. We talked about him last show.
Yeah, it's Mr. Perez. I don't know if I know the first name. I apologize. I do, but
it's happening.
Everywhere.
I'm just going to tell you this and tell you this once. Yeah, if you listen to NPR, if you watch CNN, read CNN, MSNBC, you're not going to hear about it. So the fact that you say it's not happening, that's your ignorance. Because when you hear all these other people saying this is what's going on, this is what's going on, take the time to look it up. We go on CNN. So those of you NPR fans, you should be able to go on to Fox News or Newsmax or something like that to look at the stories.
Or anything, a Daily Wire, any of them.
Look at the stories. You don't have to become subscribing members. We're not.
No.
But it's just, guys, it's happening. And it's happening to our children. Yeah. And it's all because of money. That's it. They don't care. They don't give a damn about the kids.
Standard care. Yes. We now know it. I mean, they literally came out and said we didn't want malpractice lawsuits.
Right.
I mean, they tell you their game plan. They're open about it. They don't care because there's no ramification to any of them. They don't give a shit. So, anyways, Jim, that's the story, folks. Research it. Look it up. It's truly happening. Jim, you ready to move on?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
FBI whistleblower alleges Bureau took agents off child sex abuse cases to pursue political probes.
And it's true, by the way. But go on.
And, folks, so our wonderful FBI that we're supposed to trust and love and all of this stuff, it's like the IRS, right?
You mean the ones that came and took Mike Lindell's phone and all of his computer equipment while he was at a Hardee's?
Yep.
You know, that FBI.
And maybe we'll get big enough that it'll happen to us too. Who knows?
The ones that hid Hunter Biden's laptop story and all that. That one.
Yeah, that one.
The ones that ran with the Steele dossier story. That FBI. The FBI that just raided Mar-a-Lago. That FBI.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Go on, Jim.
That's the one.
Oh, okay.
The House Judiciary Committee, Republicans, released a letter this week that they sent to the FBI Director Christopher Wray that featured claims from a whistleblower that the Bureau, who claims that FBI agents were moved off sex abuse cases to work on political investigations. In other words, folks, this whistleblower is saying that we are taking the FBI agents off child abuse cases, whether it be trafficking, whether it be whatever. Okay.
Yep. Correct.
And putting them on political reasonings. Again, like Dale pointed out, Mike Lindell, President Obama, anybody affiliated with those people. That's what's happening. It's happening all over. And then we continue to hear from brave whistleblowers about disturbing conduct at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, including politicalization within the Washington field office, which WFO said Representative Jim Jordan from Ohio. He's the ranking member on the committee. At the start of the letter on July 27, 2022, we wrote to you about protected whistleblower disclosures that FBI officials, including an assistant special agent in charge from the Washington field office, were pressuring agents to reclassify cases as domestic violent extremism, even if the cases do not meet the criteria for such a classification. That's another issue that came up. Okay, they want to make it sound like again, this all refers back to January 6th, guys. The violence is going up. The violence is becoming worse. So they're taking these cases and applying it to that.
Yep.
The letter stated that since then, the committee has learned of new whistleblowers who allege that the Bureau is deliberately manipulating the way case files related to January 6 investigations are maintained in order to create a false and misleading narrative that domestic violent extremism is increasing
I'm so
around
sick
the
of this
country.
January 6th bullshit, Jim.
Now, catch that, guys. We always have to hear. Now, here's what you can find on CNN and MSNBC about how the violence is just being created because of us, because of the
us.
people who
MAGA
were affiliated.
Republicans.
Yep. And it's not happening. It's not happening. It's being made to look like it is.
Where is it happening?
Yep.
Does anybody tell me? Where has it happened?
Well, it doesn't matter. If you watch CNN, there
That's
it is.
what I'm saying.
It's there. They don't need proof.
Well, I mean, there's videos. Is there any? Oh, no, nothing like
Since
that.
when
Cities
have they
burning.
needed proof? The letter goes on to state how the FBI allegedly overstates the domestic violent extremism threats in the U.S. and how the Bureau has allegedly not followed regular procedure with respect to the January 6 cases.
Yes.
The manipulative case file practice creates false and misleading crime statistics, the whistleblower stated. Instead of hundreds of investigating stemming from a single black swan incident at the Capitol, the FBI and DOJ officials point to significant increases in domestic violent extremism and terrorism around the United States. Now, this has been reported. We have heard about it. It's not on the news all the time, but we have heard about it. The increased violence of MAGA Republicans. Okay. In other words, the FBI's case categorization creates the illusion that the threats from the domestic violence are present in jurisdictions across the nation, when in reality, they all stem from the same related investigation concerning the actions at the Capitol Hill on January 6th.
Yep.
So in other words, every domestic violence you hear, like today, if you hear domestic violence, it's from January 6th. It's not now. It's not current. It's from the January 6th.
Why do they call it domestic violence? Isn't that kind of like when a husband and wife is battling?
Extremism. Domestic violent extremist. Okay, so
gotcha.
Yeah. So we're
gotcha.
In other words, domestic terrorists.
That's what
Okay.
Such
an artificial case categorization scheme allows FBI leadership to misleadingly point to significant increases in the DVE threats nationwide. These allegations are consistent with disclosures they have received from other whistleblowers that high-ranking FBI officials, including a senior Washington field officer, are pressing frontline agents to categorize cases as DVE matters to fit a political narrative.
Sure, of course.
Now, if this was reversed and Trump was in office and the FBI was going after Black Lives Matter, Antifa, Planned Parenthood, oh my God. People would be walking down the streets with stakes and fire and all of that stuff.
There would be violence.
Yep. And it's just horrible, horrible, right? The letter clearly stated that House Republicans believe that the overwhelming majority of frontline FBI special agents and employees are dedicated law enforcement officers, which we completely agree with, committed to protecting the American people and upholding the Constitution. And that members who are criticizing the Bureau are referring to the FBI's senior leadership in Washington.
Of course.
In addition,
I think we all know that.
The whistleblower disclosure that the FBI is sacrificing its other important federal law enforcement duties to pursue January 6 investigations, letter added. The whistleblower recalled, for example, being told that child sex abuse material investigations were no longer an FBI priority and should be referred to local law enforcement agencies. Such a posture is not only a dereliction of the FBI's mission to investigate violations of federal laws, but it is a grave disservice to the victims of child sexual abuse and other crimes that do not advance the FBI's leadership's political agenda. So, folks, keep an eye on that. And again,
we know what's happening.
Don't look for it on CNN and NPR. You're not going to find it. But we knew there was only a matter of time. And I think I think in a little while, you're going to see FBI agents who were involved in Mar-a-Lago are going to become whistleblowers. And we're going to hear the real story.
Eventually.
We're going to
hear the real
folks,
story.
the Democrats can't get Trump out of their minds. It's always about Trump. It's always about Trump. Guys, let them do it.
Yeah.
Let them do it. To their detriment. Our economy is falling apart faster than anything. Okay?
Yeah.
We just, a report I was going to do, but I decided not to do it, had an Obama economic advisor and a Clinton economic advisor said we are heading for a recession. They didn't say depression, but
technically we were in a recession. But they changed the definition.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really 2 straight quarters of GDP.
Right. So anyway, it's they're lying to us.
They are.
And unfortunately, if you watch those networks I keep talking about, you're not going to know. You will never know. And then you're going to be sad, which also affects us because you are that idiotic. But anyway, so keep an eye on this story because it will come out. It may not come on Fox for a while.
Yeah.
Fox leadership may not put it out there.
Of course. But
Newsmax, Daily Wire have no problem reporting this.
No, that's right. They don't. And
others.
And others. I mean, I don't think I give the Blaze enough credit either.
The Blaze is very good.
Yeah, very good. So, but that makes me wonder, Jim, do we really honestly think the new 87,000 employees at the IRS are going to be non-biased and or,
I have this feeling that if the Democrats hold power.
Oh, this midterm is so important, folks. Yes.
I have this feeling that I will have my first audit.
Yeah.
As a citizen of the United States.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do. And
and they'll find something wrong.
Yep. And they're going to find it, guys. I know you're sitting there thinking, conspiracy theorists, here it goes. What the hell is 87,000 new IRS employees going to do?
What are they going to do?
What are they going to do?
Yeah.
And so they're going to go
and CFO Petronas said it great too. He said they're going to come after where the people are, where the people are going, where the low hanging fruit. What they're going to do.
The only reason I said us because we do the show.
Correct.
And possibly, I don't know, maybe we're not big enough. I have no idea. But
of course we're not big enough. But
they're going to come after
YouTube
people.
To kick us off.
They're going to be coming after people like us. They're just going to because they have to, and
because they have to.
And that's what it's all about. To pay for this shit that they've put through, they have to do it. Because you heard Petronas, CFO Petronas, right? You heard him. Yeah. He said that. And we've seen it from other places. The budget office came out and said, the money that you're planning on gaining with these agents that you said that you're going to do with this IRS isn't going to do what you said it's going to do. So what else are you? It's all the other money, guys.
It's all the other money. They have to go after. Exactly.
And it's not wealthy people. I can guarantee you.
No, it's not.
So, but this administration and this leftist group is lying. It's no different than what Obama did, even though people are turning their heads to that too. When he went after conservative groups with the IRS, he used them as his own Gestapo, if you will.
Yeah.
And went right after them. And that That did happen, folks. We're not lying about it. It did happen. It's just unfortunately, if you listen to those other worse networks, you wouldn't have heard about it. So
you wouldn't have.
Anyway, it happened.
All right.
So I'm done.
Jim, thank you for that. Folks, pay attention to it. It's super important. On to the last segment of the day. So, speaking of political violence, right? Who's really committing the violence here? Some of you may have heard of this story. Some of you may not have already. But police, good quote, driver admitted to intentionally killing teen at North Dakota street dance after political dispute. Court papers say 41-year-old Shannon Brandt, a male, confessed to a 9/11 911 dispatcher and police that he killed 18-year-old Kayler Ellingson due to a political dispute. Kayler is a 18-year-old male. Brandt, 41-year-old male. McHenry, North Dakota. According to court papers, it was not an accident, but apparently a politically motivated attack. The fatal vehicle pedestrian incident happened this past Sunday morning, September 18th, in McHenry, North Dakota, about 120 miles northwest of Fargo and 54 miles north of Jamestown. Prosecutors allege moments before he killed 18-year-old Kayler Ellingson. Let me start over. Prosecutors allege moments before he was killed, 18-year-old Kayler Ellingson called his mom to come rescue him because 41-year-old Shannon Brandt was chasing him in the city of McHenry, where the street dance had just wrapped up. By the time she could get there, her son was dead. Brandt was officially charged this past Monday, with vehicular homicide and leaving the scene of a deadly accident. Quote, he was the one who called 911 to report the crash, said North Dakota Highway Patrol Captain Brian Nywind. Court papers show Brandt called 911 around 2:30 a.m. Sunday and told the 911 dispatcher that he just hit Ellingson, claiming the teen was part of a Republican extremist group and was calling people to come get Brandt after a political argument. Ellingson's mom told police her son called her just before the crash, asking if she knew Brandt, which she does. She does not believe her son knew him. We are still trying to determine what exactly transpired at the time of the crash and prior to that as well, explained Nywind. Police say Brandt was drunk when he hit and killed Ellingson with his SUV. Quote, we do not know of any witnesses. We are still making attempts to interview potential witnesses from the street dance, people that were present prior to the crash happening, Nywind said. A judge ordered Brandt held on $50,000, which he objected, saying he's not a flight risk. Just what Brandt said, I have a job, a life, and a house, and things I don't want to see go by the wayside. Family that are very important to me, Brandt told the judge. Well, how very nice of this asshole. I'm sure Ellingson didn't have a life.
You have enough to put bail.
Yeah, that's right. If convicted on the vehicular homicide charge, Brandt would face a minimum of 10 years in prison because of a DUI on his record. The maximum for the crime is 20 years. Troopers say as the investigation develops, they could recommend more serious charges. End of story. That is a hate crime, folks.
What if he was wearing a MAGA hat?
That is not, he confessed that he was part of a Republican extremist group, so he had to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hate crime, folks.
Yep.
That is not a vehicular homicide charge right there. Who's doing the violence again, Jim? I'm not sure. But again, look on CNN. It's not there. MSNBC, not there. NPR's website.
The person driving the car was what?
What do you mean? What do you mean was what?
Say again.
What, do you want me to read the story again? What do you mean it was what?
He was a leftist or a...
Didn't say he's a leftist at all. Just said that he killed him because he's a because the kid is a Republican extremist.
The kid was a pub. Oh, okay.
Who died.
Okay.
Who died. Yeah. Jim, if you would have been paying attention the first 5 minutes. No, you were not, and I saw you. Anybody watching will notice Jim was looking down at something much more important than this important story. I called you out, Jim. I don't mind doing it.
I was actually trying to look up the story so I could follow along. But yeah, anyway.
Why do you need to... That's a lie.
No, it was not, because I want that. I want that story. But anyway, if he was wearing a MAGA hat, it would be a hate crime. Not only
if the driver was wearing a MAGA hat.
If the driver was wearing a MAGA hat and the person was of not like us, and Killed him for the
Female?
views.
Female, Jim?
Yeah.
Or
black.
Okay.
I'm just going to call it say
Or black.
Black.
Yeah.
At Black Lives Matter rally, those peaceful ones that they had all over
Yeah.
the country.
Exactly.
And they ran somebody over. It would have been a hate crime. And not only would have been
It
a
would have
hate
been.
crime, there would have been violence all over the place if this person would not have been given bail, or if he wouldn't, if he would have been given
Yeah.
bail and let out. And all
Well, it's
that stuff.
$50,000. That's 10%. It's $5,000
Yeah.
for him to get out.
Yeah, so-
and he admits that he killed the kid because the kid was part
it's
of a
a
Republican
hate crime.
extremist. It's a hate crime. Pure and simple. Hate crime. It's politically motivated. I don't care if you're drunk. I don't care if you have alcohol. This kid, you can look at him. That's who he is, Jim. You see him?
Mm-hmm.
Good looking kid, rest of his life to live, killed by some whacked out, have to be left winger if he's claiming that I had to kill him because he's part of a Republican extremist group. That is a hate crime.
If he gets the
that
right
will go
judge,
unreported.
If he gets the right judge, he will be let out.
It's North
Or it
Dakota,
won't be.
so North Dakota is
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
conservative.
That's good.
So
Okay.
we'll see.
All right.
We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But that's just a crying shame. And,
But the curious thing is because
kid,
the
man.
reason
Poor
I wanted
parents.
the story is I want to follow because I want to see
I
if
know.
this ever pops up. If it is in fact a hate crime,
Yep.
if
exactly.
it is,
I know.
if it's
I
going
know,
to
Jim.
be
I'm
filed as
razzing
a
you
hate
because
crime.
you were looking down. I was
So
razzing.
no, I was looking.
I
yeah.
gave you shit. I gave you shit.
I know,
Jim.
but
it's okay. I'm allowed to.
It's just at the
allowed to.
end, it just sounded
Yeah.
like you.
What?
When I said the guy wearing a MAGA hat, and then you said that he was a right wing Republican, and then I thought you were talking about the driver. So my fault. My bad.
We confused
bad.
each other.
My
there.
bad.
Miscommunication on our end.
Of
Jim,
course.
which rarely happens.
Very rarely. I think that might have
Very
been the
rarely.
first mistake we've ever made on the show. Damn.
I think so. If anybody notices,
See, we're
going to
drop into the Rush
keep it to
Limbaugh
yourself.
numbers here pretty soon.
We are going to. We are. We're trying to climb and be well above that. Good luck
God
to
rest
us.
his soul, though.
God rest
Nobody
his
like
soul.
him.
There will be nobody like him. I still miss him to this day.
Yep.
Multiple reasons, but I miss him to this day. Jim, we were to have our interview with Joy Gersvald from Kitsap County Moms for Liberty on the show today. You may see this episode on YouTube. You may not. I know for sure by next Tuesday's episode. So we are going to air it there. Joy's been made aware of it. She's gracious and understands why we're doing it. We want as many people to hear her story as possible because she was super kind to share it with us and us only. So stay tuned for that next Tuesday. Jim, is there anything else we need to review today before we bid ourselves a fine adieu for the week?
The good news just keeps happening in this country. I mean,
doesn't
there's
it?
no reason not to be
Doesn't it?
happy. We have no crisis at the border. COVID is gone.
COVID's gone.
COVID's gone.
That's right.
It's done.
Yep.
It's out of there. Of course, now he's being made to walk that back a little bit. But anyway, COVID's gone.
Of course he's going to walk it back.
The economy is growing stronger than it ever has in the history of our
It
nation.
just went up an inch. Just an inch. Just an inch, man. You make it seem like it all of a sudden got to 8.3. Just an inch.
Folks, if there's anybody, if you have friends or acquaintances that think that this is great, that this is wonderful, that this is fantastic, just
own
smack them. No,
Just own it. Just own
no,
them.
I do not. Nope, support violence. So check that. Forget it.
I didn't disown them. I said.
No, I meant smack. I said
smack. You smack. That's right. That's right.
But kind of just shake your head and just say, "Bless your heart." Just say
yeah. Or don't say anything at all, and just distance yourself as far away from. I don't care if it's the most cherished loved one. Leave them. Go away. Just you can't have that kind of negativity and ignorance in your life. It'll bring you down. It'll bring you down.
Our economy was so good under Trump, but people's feelings were hurt. Let's face it. That's why they were upset. Their feelings were hurt.
Still today, they're like, he's committed so many crimes. Trump's committed so many crimes. He's going down for it. It's so old. I mean, it's just getting so old.
And you know what would be an easy case?
What?
The Hunter and Joe Biden case.
Very
This
easy.
would be very little effort.
There's even more that came out on that about him selling liquefied natural gas to China.
Mm-hmm.
Now, more on that next week, folks. But we could talk about Hunter Biden every day and that nonsense that's going on there. But
and Manchin's feeling ganged up on by the leftists and Republicans, because he's got a bill that he wants to put through, and he's not getting the
support.
Like Bernie Sanders and them aren't supporting him, and then Republicans aren't supporting him.
Because
Wonder why?
He's a wishy-washy son of a bitch.
Sellout.
That's all he is. You know, whatever money's going to come his stupid way. In West Virginia, I understand that maybe, and this is national news and national. You can look in. It's there. It's available, public record. That maybe the education level is a little less in West Virginia than, say, some other places. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I'm not making fun of it. I'm not at all.
Right.
Trust me, I'm not. It's just the way it's sad.
Yeah.
It's literally sad in that area. Change your leadership. Mm-hmm. Start with Manchin would be a really good choice. You know, whatever.
Well, look, my problem is he's whining now because he sold his soul to the devils to pass this bill that only helped him.
That's right.
It destroyed everyone else. It destroyed his coal industry in his country or in his state.
Yep.
But he's mad now because Republicans and the leftists are
that's right,
ganging up on him.
Right.
Poor guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel bad for him.
Poor guy. I feel terrible.
Let's just make sure that pipeline doesn't blow up or something. You know, we wouldn't want to do that he's got going.
Jim, again.
No, I'm not saying. I just hope that it does, because, you know, natural gas could go boom all of a sudden. You know, I don't know.
It could. I don't know. It could.
But it's good to know that
we're not chemists.
It's good to know that the Democrats allow a pipeline to be built.
Yeah, I think that it is good to know.
So,
it's good.
I bet you Schumer,
the Keystone,
Schumer hated when that came up. I'll bet you anything. Schumer and those other Democrats are like, shit. How are we going to get away with this?
What is Schumer like? Look at his skull on his face. His old, ugly, lurch-looking self.
Guys, if you don't know what we're talking about, the Joe Manchin, in order for him to get his vote for this Inflation Reduction Act,
for the order for Biden to get that vote, necessary vote.
He gets a natural gas pipeline going through West Virginia, West Virginia to Virginia, a pipeline. Do you see? Now, you know why the left and conservatives are upset with him? For whole different reasons.
Right. All different reasons. Totally different reasons.
But it's like, no, wait a minute, damn it, Schumer. You agree with closing down the Keystone Pipeline, but you're letting this guy just to get your damn bill through.
Well, where does Schumer live? I mean, where does Schumer live? Virginia, maybe?
Maybe. Well, he's in New York.
Maybe.
He's a New York senator.
I understand that, but does he? I understand that's where he.
Look, he's
got to reside there. But where's he at? He's in Washington D.C.
Richard Lugar, when he was senator, long-running senator of Indiana, I think only lived in Indiana for the first term.
That's what I'm saying.
He had no idea what he was doing.
They have their nice little brownstones in Washington D.C. that they go to, and that's so natural gas going right to Virginia.
So, term limits.
Mm-hmm. Term limits, and vote this November. We will say it every show from now on.
Vote twice.
Jim, again, advocating, guaranteeing. This is why we didn't have Joy's show. This will not be on YouTube. I guarantee.
Vote twice because we need to make sure Trump doesn't win. So vote twice.
Is Trump running? Jim, thank you for your contribution. You big aloof. And adios to everybody. Thank you for your continued support. Please follow on Rumble, maybe YouTube this episode. But anyways, listen to us on Spotify, on Apple. Follow our Buzzsprout account and our webpage. Everything's on our Facebook page, which you should be joining and telling your friends to join because it's chock full of me and Jim, and who doesn't want more of that? And people can contribute too. You don't have to just go on there and look. You can add things to it. You can post things. You can comment. You can share. You can do whatever you want. It's Facebook. For the time being, we're there. Who knows?
Because that adds to our ego, because we think we are giving you guys so much information that you don't need to know anymore. And so that's why. So if you don't ask us, hey, what about this? What about that? We think we're giving you everything.
And
that just adds to our ego.
I would